All right guys, so on today's fill tips, we're going to do a quick overview of the Ace Spine Master, and we're going to talk about arrow spine and why it's so important. All right, so just a little bit of introductory stuff for the folks that are maybe just getting into archery and don't have a good idea of what I'm talking about when I say spine. So when I say arrow spine, all I'm really talking about is how stiff the arrow shaft is. And so when you go to buy arrows or buy arrow shafts, they're going to be grouped into spine ranges. And typically that's going to be 5-pound increments. And so you might order 55 pound spines or 65 and so on. And so why is this important? It's important to have your arrows matched closely in spine, but it's also important to have your arrows spined to the bow that you're shooting, because arrow spine is going to have a huge impact on how your arrows fly off the bow that you're shooting and where they impact. You can actually change where the arrows impact on the target by changing arrow spine or the stiffness of your shafts. Now, I'm not going to go real in depth on tuning and all that stuff in this video. I've got some other videos that are actually going to be coming up this summer that we're going to talk about tuning and manipulating FOC and all of that stuff. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that so you don't miss out when those videos come out this summer. Now, I can't give you an exact recipe right now because there's a ton of things that come into play when you're talking about matching arrows to a bow. It has to do with how long your draw length is, how close to center shot your bow is, your tip weight, a whole suite of things is going to come into play when you talk about matching your arrows to your bow. Now, there are some helpful guides online. There's some spine charts that you can use. Actually, Three Rivers Archery has a spine calculator where you would enter all your information and it would help you to determine which spine you need to order. But getting into the spine tester here, now the reason that I have this is not something that, you know, if you're just a casual shooter that you're gonna need. But me, I shoot a lot. I go through a lot of arrows, and I buy arrow shafts in bulk. Now, when I buy arrow shafts, I'll buy them by the hundreds. And it's very important to me to have this because I go through, I put all of my arrow shafts on a grain scale. And so I group them by grain weight, but then I also put them on the spine tester here and group them by spine class. To use this thing, you just put your shaft up there, get it oriented correctly, and then you've got a little adjustment knob over here on the left-hand side that you'll zero out this, this measuring needle here. Now, if you're shooting shafts, the reason that you have to zero it out is because this thing will have to be adjusted for different shaft diameters, so 23/64ths or 5/16ths or whatever you're shooting. Just use this knob to zero everything out, and that one's already zeroed. You just go ahead and hang your weight on there. Now this shaft is spining out at about 62 pounds. Now with cane shafts, one of the great things about cane shafts is they don't have grain like a wood shaft, and so you can turn these things to get your spine dialed in perfectly. That dropped it down just a little bit. Now, if you're using wood shafts, you're going to want to orient them so that you're measuring the spine in line with the growth rings. And so when you're building arrows, you want to cut your nock or place your nock so that when it's sitting on the bow, the growth rings are perpendicular to the bow itself. And so just make sure that you orient them on this spine tester that same way. So this Spine Master here, you can get this at Three Rivers and also the little grain scale that I've got here. If you don't want to spend the money on it, you can actually, I've made them myself. It's a very simple tool. All it's really doing is measuring the deflection of the shaft, or how much this shaft is bending. And you can make them yourself. They might not be as accurate or as standardized as this one here, but really all that matters, really, as long as you're not selling arrows, is that all of your shafts are deflecting the same amount and that they shoot well off your bow. And so what I've done in the past is find a shaft that shoots well, and then just use a homemade spine tester to make sure that all of my other shafts are built to match that one. So these are just a couple of the tools that I use constantly when I'm making arrows. And if you're going to be buying arrow shafts in bulk, in my opinion, these are indispensable, because you do need to weigh and spine every single one of them. You know, they come hand spined, but you know, even within those hand spine groups, you're going to find outliers, and you're going to find that it's much easier to get a really closely matched, accurate group of arrows if you're able to measure the spine and measure the grain weight yourself and group those arrows yourself. If you're into bow building, you might want to check out my Patreon site. There's a bunch of exclusive content that I'm posting over there. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/clayhays and just check it out. Maybe there's something there that'll spark your interest. But with that, I appreciate everybody that's already signed up for Patreon. And like I said, we're going to be uploading more tuning type stuff this summer, so don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.